Spirit-led, spirit-fed. Okay. Hello, Facebook and Zoom friends. They're out there somewhere. You guys are in here, so we're going to do our best to bring it all together. I hope I'm not sitting discreetly on this stool, but it keeps me in one spot rather than walking around and getting out of frame, which we often do, which makes them feel left out. I'm Reverend Beverly Pryor, and I want to welcome you to Unity of Little Rock, whether you're virtual or in the room with us here today. Let's take a moment and just get centered in prayer. So if you're comfortable closing your eyes, this is a good time to do that. Just let your body rest fully onto the chair. Becoming aware of your physical nature. And together, let's take a deep breath in. A little pause at the top and just gently release. Take that breath again together. And this time when we release our breath, we're going to consciously release any busyness or distractions from the morning and just allow ourselves to become in this moment. So together, let's take that deep breath in. A pause at the top, and as we release, we're just letting go. Letting go. Probably one of the hardest things we have to do in our life, moment by moment. Just letting go of the past, letting go of 5 seconds ago, letting go of anticipation of the future. We're simply present in this moment. The breath connects us mind, body, and spirit. And it connects us one with another in this moment. Together we are one presence. With this opportunity to gather today where we know we've both come here to be a blessing and to receive a blessing. We're so grateful for this opportunity. We simply say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen.
I'm not sure what I'm hearing. They're clicking. It's the candle.
It's the flame on the candle.
Oh,
it does that on purpose, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I know what it is. I don't have to be distracted by it. Okay, let's see our slides. Oh, no, we've done that already. Okay, good. Now here we are. Do we need to minimize the...
You just go right again.
All right, so let's together say our opening statement, which is also our first of the 5 basic unity principles. There's only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God, the good, the omnipotent. And we know this is true by our experience. You know, you can say these things, you can learn spiritual principle. It was Emily Cady who said, you know, you can learn all the spiritual principles, and I'm paraphrasing, but you can learn all the spiritual principles and repeat them word for word, and until you put them into action, which is our 5th unity principle, you really don't know anything. And that's true, you know, when people are trying to learn something, I always say, then teach it. And people say, well, you know, I'm still trying to learn it. Well, that's the best way to really take it in, is to learn it up here, bring it into here, and then when you share it, you share what you know. And you can only share what you know from the level of the consciousness you have at the moment. And we know our consciousness is ever evolving. So as we're sharing, we learn and we know more deeply, moment by moment. I'm tapping. Okay, I guess no one's here for the first time as I'm looking around. But we want to always hold this space to welcome first-timers because we enjoy it. Last week we had all the first-timers, but we didn't have a slide to say, well, we had a couple anyway. A couple of hadn't been here in a whileers, but we're glad whenever we could come together in this space. I like this Sunday salon idea. Jeannie had this idea because we've got some air conditioner challenges in the other room, but it's cozy and it gives us a chance to really look each other in the face and to connect and feel present. And I encourage you, if you are concerned about, we're still in the pandemic technically, so if you'd like to wear a mask and you'd like to do that and be cautious, don't feel concerned. I encourage you, if you don't know who you're sitting by, keep some space. Do all those things that we've learned over the last 2.5 years are the right things to do. But we've talked about whether or not we're going to, go back to old rules. Everybody's aware of what to do to stay safe now, and we encourage you to do what is comfortable for you. Prayer requests. So you guys have been here, this is my favorite part of the whole day, is praying. We have prayer chaplains. I'm not sure who's the prayer chaplain of the week, but myself, Travis, Jeannie, and Russ when he's here, we're available to pray with you after service. If you're in need of prayer, just let us know. We also have prayer requests, and I went around and put one on each table just to make them very convenient for you. If you have something on your heart today, on your mind for yourself or another, you can write it down, drop it in this box or the one on the way out the door. Unity was founded on prayer. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were experimenting in the late 1800s with what was called at that time New Thought, still is called New Thought, and learning these spiritual principles and putting them into action and seeing the results. So they started wanting to help other people learn this. So they started having a little circle. And that's how a lot of Unity, and this very Unity group started as a study group. And a lot of the churches began that way because people just want to share. As I said, once you learn something, if you teach it, you learn it even more deeply. I know for me, when I committed to a weekly meditation class, teaching it in Dallas, and at first it was kind of like every Monday I'm going to show up, but I did it because that's what my heart was telling me to do, and my meditation experience deepened. And I know Travis is holding a book group at 9:30 every week. Everything that we do, Jeannie committed some time ago to filling in for the fact that there is no minister here at the moment. And I'm sure, Jeannie, by teaching every week, you have deepened your own spiritual understanding. I mean, that's what happens when we make these commitments. So with prayer, when you commit to having your own prayer practice, we in Unity we use affirmative prayer. So we claim, as Jesus, our way shower and master teacher, taught us, we claim it is done. We're not begging and beseeching, please, please help me, help me, help me, which there's a place for that, and there are times when that beseeching prayer is the right thing, but that's what you need at the moment, right? Because you're not confident in yourself and you need to turn it over to a power that you are confident in. That's fine. But what we really like is when we know. Every day we do our meditation, our prayer time, we're aligned, we know who we are, and we know we can claim that good in the moment. And that's how we pray affirmatively. So whatever it is that's on your heart or your mind, like I said before, for yourself or for another, if you haven't written it down or you don't want to write it down, just send it to this box in your consciousness. And let's take a moment together to affirm and to know the truth. So again, if you're comfortable closing your eyes, and let's reactivate that oneness by taking a deep breath in together and release. Present in this moment, we know and affirm the highest and the best for everyone concerned. We know we don't have to have the details. We know the truth is known by that infinite potential, that divine authority in this universe. we name as God. Whether the request is for health or well-being, relationship, finances, it makes no difference. There's no degree of prayer. There's nothing too simple not to take to God. There's nothing too complicated for that absolute good in the universe. So in this moment, we claim absolute best. And so it is. Amen. There's also Silent Unity that you can call and pray for. The number's here. It's also in the Daily Word magazine. I think it's on our website. You can go on, for those of you who are virtual, you can go onto our website, submit a prayer. We'll pray over it here, and then we'll send it on to Silent Unity, where they'll hold it in prayer consciousness for 30 days. That is some powerful prayer vibration, and it shifts things. I know with my sister, I'll talk to her sometimes when she's frustrated. I'm like, well, did you call Silent Unity? I mean, she's not really a Unity person, but she's learned that when she does call Silent Unity, first of all, when you're on the phone with them, there's that moment while they're speaking that you feel the release. You let it go. You turn it over, not to them, but to that consciousness from which they're praying. And then after that, you could just watch it unfold in your life. It's just beautiful, and it's powerful, and I love that that is the focus of who we are. That's one reason I've been in Unity for, I won't tell you how many decades, but since the mid-90s when I found it. I never went anywhere else. I left my Southern Baptist roots for some time. I tried to go back to it after college. Didn't quite fit anymore. Well, it did for a while, and then there were some things, and then, I was like, it just is not quite where I am anymore. And then I wasn't going to any kind of organized gathering. And then one day, I saw an ad for John Bradshaw, who it was a mid-'80s kind of psychologist who did all the inner child work. And I was familiar with him, but I saw it was being hosted at Unity of Dallas. And I thought, wow, a church that hosts a pop psychologist. That's pretty amazing. And so I held that. I didn't go see him, but I held that little piece of paper. I cut it out, and I'm like, when I do go to church, then I'm going to check that one out. And the day I walked in, I was like, feels like home. It's the right message for me at the right time in my life, and it has continued to be. Here we go. So Miss Linda Strickland is going to read the daily word for us today. Linda, would you like to come forward?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to say that I love loving.
That's the word for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I've quested love since I was in my early 20s, and I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So anyway, our universe is a loving universe. Our universe is love. And I'm very honored today to share this quote. And I have changed one or two words here. But anyway, just as the sun shines on everyone and everything, we are a loving presence to everyone we meet. My kind words, welcoming smile, and compassionate actions all spring from the love that is part of my divine identity. Being a loving presence draws we closer to God and to all people. I will share the love I have known throughout the seasons of my life, at heights of triumphs and joy and the depths of loss and suffering. God is love, and so am I, we. No matter who we meet or what we're going through, I am loving. I bring support, we bring support, kindness, solace, and comfort, and share them lavishly without the thought of reciprocity. We are the hands and heart of God in the world. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to get ready for our time of meditation by listening to a song. If you'd like to close your eyes, just relax into the music and to the words. You might want to uncross your legs and your arms and maybe put your feet flat on the floor.
And know I breathe out and let go. Here in my heart, that's the right place to start. I breathe, just breathe. I breathe in to breathe. I breathe out and see what is true, right and real. I'm alive, I am here. I breathe, just here in this moment, I'm in the flow. Here in this moment, I let go. Each blade of grass has an angel leaning over, whispering, grow, I breathe in and know I breathe out and let go. Here in my heart, that's the right place to start. I breathe, just
Remaining still, continuing to breathe. We bring our attention to the breath as it enters the body. enters the nostrils, you might notice that as you breathe in, it's just a little bit cool. As you breathe out, it's just slightly warmer. Breathing in, cooler. Breathing out, warmer. Now let's follow that breath as it moves deep within. Deeper and deeper still to the very center of your being. Been here before. It's where you began. It's where you know the very truth of your being. That you are love and loving. You are peace and peaceful. You are joy and joyful. Allow the energy of love, peace, and joy to expand and permeate every cell of your body. Embody that consciousness, that higher vibration of healing, wholeness, energized and vibrant. Ready to fully express the truth of your being. Rest in this higher vibration as we take a moment in the silence. Together, let's take a deep breath in and release. Bringing our attention back to this moment, to this time, this very room. But bringing back with us that connection to our inner knowing. The presence and the power of the Christ within. Each and every one of us, and together as a community. For this truth and so much more, we simply say thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
My
fun with the music. And so Jeannie sort of asked me to continue on this idea of awe. And what you may not realize is there's a healing nature to awe. You know, Jesus said, make yourselves like little children. And we know children are just like fascinated by everything because pretty much everything is a first experience. And when we have some kind of experience for the first time, it tends to generate awe. And we're like, oh yeah, that's either interesting or maybe, you know, but it's kind of the same thing. It's like anxiety and anticipation. I've had anxiety issues most of my life, and a friend of mine said to me one time, but name it anticipation. And I'm like, oh, that feels good. It's not, it's, oh. So all the things in our life can be approached in this way. But I'm going to indulge with some photos here in the beginning that I found on a site called Unsplash, where you can, people post photos for you to be able to use without royalties. So we're okay, Angel, in the sharing of these images as far as going out to the world. But, you know, I don't know if you've ever been to any of the red rocks, either in Sedona or the Grand Canyon or anywhere, but you can see here how the power of water moving through here, water being fluid and a rock being solid. It's the fluidity that makes the way through. It's not the power of the rock. Rigidity and stiffness and thinking you know this is the way it is it has to yield. It has to yield to flow. It has to yield to changes. And we know that life is ever changing. I don't know why we're taught to resist change and to fear it and to think of it as something that we got to clutch our old ways and our old thoughts and our old nature and our old friends or whatever it is. If you're having that feeling today, if I'm speaking to someone specifically, which usually when I kind of go off my topic, I usually am, but if you're clinging to something, no, letting go is the way to make this beautiful imagery here. And so the next one I have here is, of course, a sunset. And this is at the ocean. Looks like it might be the Pacific coast or New Zealand. You should let your imagination flow, right? This could be any kind of exotic place, or it could be someone's backyard. We don't know. Of course, this could be Arkansas. I know Travis goes to, what is it called? Pinnacle a lot. But Arkansas is full of amazing places like this off the beaten path and that we've preserved. Buffalo River is a national park preserved for the nation to that level of awe-inspiring beauty that's there. This is another one that, just for the colors of it, right? Just magnificent colors. And this is just free inspiration out there in the world. You have to catch it, right? You have to be looking. And sometimes in Little Rock, if you're on the wrong side of the hill, you don't get the sunset. But you can go find it anytime you want to. This is one. Look at that. That's kind of reflecting on that image. But you see, that's been made through the clouds with wind, which is ever changing. Just gorgeous. And thanks to Unsplash for all those. Now, this is thanks to the James Webb Telescope, right? Jeannie shared this image last week. They call this the nursery of baby stars. Stars are, I mean, that is not a doctored photo. We've seen images like this forever, right? Where someone's gone in and they've adjusted the brightness and the dimness and made it kind of look spectacular. But it's on its own from a telescope light years away, and it's like, wow, look at that. I could just look into it and fall into it for hours on end, because there's so many. You can get this off the NASA website if you want to practice with it. Just go and sit and look at it. I mean, it's just, it will never end, the beauty that you can take in. And of course, I mentioned children. You know, they're in awe of a plant leaf. You know, I mean, they can make a toy out of a twig. Everything evokes imagination and awe and joy. You can see on her face, she's like, oh, it grew. You can imagine the story there, that mom and dad probably put a little seed in the ground and said, oh, we can't uncover it. Gotta wait. And the child's like, oh, but when is it gonna come up? When is it gonna come up? When is it gonna happen? And we do that. We plant the seeds of desires. And so awe, and I got this information I'm using today from the Greater Good Science Center. There's a website, so much good information of research of positive, they do a lot of positive psychology. And it's UC Berkeley, University of California at Berkeley, which, you know, that's known to be a liberal school, so they're forward into the positive thinking. But they've done studies on awe. There's even a white paper. If you want a copy of it, I can share it with you. It's a white paper, so you have to be willing to read through it for the kernels, but it's good stuff. I know Betty would read it. Awe is the feeling we get in the presence of something vast that challenges our understanding of the world. So we get into a cavern like that, or what do you call that? Where it's dug out in a riverbed or whatever it was, the red mesas. We get into something, nature that's beyond. Like I was in Ephesus a few years ago, and it's
No problems.
okay.
Just want to check.
I was in Ephesus in Turkey a few years ago, and I'm looking. Ephesus is a chapter in the Bible. Paul was writing to the Ephesians. I'm sitting there, and here, thousands of years ago, somehow they took these stones as big as this room and figured out how to stack them on one another and start creating order and civilization. I was just mind blown that anybody, first of all, ideated that. They came up with that thought that, oh, let's carve a big chunk of this mountain out and then get all these slaves to carry it over here and stack it. How they did it, who knows? Some people say aliens. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. But it's awe-inspiring. It's unbelievable. It's amazing to just be in a moment like that where your mind, there's so much in the world that our mind cannot really grasp. We don't know how things all happen. We think we kind of have an understanding or whatever, but we really don't. I mean, the world is so beyond our imagination. And there are other words to describe the experience of awe, which is wonder and amazement. Surprise sometimes can create a moment of awe. And then transcendence. When we have those moments in meditation or where we're in nature and we just suddenly know our oneness with everything. That's our moment of awe in that transcendent moment. Oh, these are my own personal photographs. This was,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I sat there a few minutes. You can see the one on the left and then the one on the right, the clouds have moved. I was pulling onto the street in Kerrville, where I used to live, and right before I pulled into the cul-de-sac, I saw this. The street went up a hill,
Wow.
and I pulled over, and I just sat there in awe, just drinking in the beauty of the color and the textures, and you can see how long I sat there that the clouds actually moved. But I just leaned into the awe of the moment of it. And I went back and dug, because this was a few years back, and to find these photos, because it was like, that was a moment. And when I see pink in the sky, I tell myself this is love. Love is spread all through the sky, and I'm just gonna drink in the love, because pink is that color, it's one of those colors that just represents love and affection. So I just sat there and I drank in love. And this is an ashram. Yeah, this is an ashram in Uvalde, Texas, that the Art of Living has. And I was there for I think a blessings workshop or a silence or something. But I just walked out, and this field was so gorgeous, and I'm like, oh wow. And I just stood there and people kept walking and they're like, are you gonna come? And I'm like, you go ahead. I just have to be in this, because look at how the colors
goodness.
are so beautifully spread. You know, if you've ever done one of those paint things where you just pour the paint and let it just flow, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, how'd that get so beautiful? I could not have created that. No one could have intentionally planted. They might have thrown the seeds out there, or they could have just been seeds that blew around. But it's just gorgeous. It was so nice to just sit down and just kind of like be with those flowers and all the different shapes and the colors. But it's a moment of awe that, you know, just any day you could just kind of stop and go, wow, and just let yourself have all that. Physical awe is the experience of awe. The experience of awe is associated with a number of physiological effects, including changes in our nervous system activity, goosebumps and chills, and they even think reduced inflammation in the body because it's that interleukin. So you're activating these positive hormones, these hormones that are helpful to your body when you're allowing yourself to go into awe. And if you go, when you're in awe, what are you doing? You're appreciating, and you're being in a moment of gratitude while you're in awe. So in that moment of gratitude practices, and it's Greater Good Science Center, you can find this information in the study here too, it literally, not one time, but over time, if you are intentional about gratitude, it changes the gray matter in your brain. Gratitude has been documented to literally change the gray matter in your brain in the medial prefrontal cortex, which is your ability to learn, to adapt, to change, to be resilient. I mean, there's nothing but good in being in awe. The parasympathetic nervous system activity increases when you're in awe. You know, the parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest. So when you go, you're allowing your body to go into that healing mode. Sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight, right? You know, you're but the activity of the parasympathetic increases and the sympathetic decreases. It says it would, could. This is the part of it. I just want to put it all in quotes. But all requires focusing on an outside stimulus, being relatively immobile and exerting intense cognitive effort. So that means intentionally taking a moment and getting still. Intentionally allowing yourself to take it in. If you kind of go, oh, that's cool. Yeah, okay. Let's drive by the Grand Canyon and say we did it. You know? I was watching some show and they were kind of like, okay, how long do we have to stand here? You know, so they went there and they saw it, but they didn't allow for awe. They're just like, well, we're here, check. But when you're just checking life off, you're not really letting it soak in. You've got to be still, you've got to let it happen. And this is all in that study. I've got the white paper quoted here at the bottom. This is one of those, now see, you wouldn't normally look at this in the collection of all the wildflowers and say how beautiful. But when you isolate that one little flower, isn't it amazing? It's just so interesting, the shape and the design of it. But you have to slow down. And when I was living in Kerrville, I was fortunate enough that I could walk out to my backyard, around the golf course in this creek, and then be at the Guadalupe River on foot. And there were just so many wildflowers, and I was constantly, if you're Facebook friends with me, you know, I posted all the time wildflower pictures. But I would be walking along by the river, the water, which represents consciousness, just allowing myself to admire the beauty of all the flowers and the trees and birds flying above. It was a beautiful experience. I haven't quite found my nature connection here other than my backyard. I have a deck that's kind of like a tree house, but I'm still looking for that. He says more recent studies suggest that autonomic nervous system responses to awe may depend on the type of awe we experience. So when I said parasympathetic is, oh, and sympathetic is, sometimes we have that same experience. This is another photo I took on that same walk in Uvalde. It's a spider. And it was this big. And I walk up and I see the big spider's web, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to walk through that. And then I zero in on this giant thing in the middle, and I just stood there in awe. And I didn't disturb the web. I just admired it. I went, wow, look at you. And I could see as I was admiring this spider, and I was so in awe, its little legs were doing this. It wasn't moving, but it was kind of signaling, I feel you. I know you're here. I like that you like me. You know, I wasn't scared. But it could be a moment where you go, ah, get a stick and hit it. But it's environment. It's a place to stop and go. So you have a choice sometimes in how you perceive a particular incident, whether it's going to give you the awe or the and you can shift, right? We can stop and we go, that was almost a car accident, somebody cut me off. Or, oh, wow, we could have collided, but we didn't. I'm so grateful. I'm in a moment of gratitude rather than getting all angry and cursing and making hand gestures. So that's called a threat-based awe. And perhaps other types of awe have different psychological effects. But the more positive ones are the ones that we want to focus on. There's nothing wrong with having a moment because that's our natural, that's survival, right? We need to survive. We want to, but then we can stop and say, you know what? I'm not really in a threat here. It might feel like it, but I'm not really. These are also photos that I've taken. This is a window box in Fredericksburg. We were just strolling down the street and I saw it and I'm like, wow, what a beautiful combination of colors, and up against that brick and the color of the shutters. I just stopped and was like, you know, my friend's walking along going, what are you doing? I'm like, she said, you want to go in there? No, I just want to look at the flowers on the window box. Just want to stop. And the other one is just some tulips that I bought for myself at the grocery store and had on the table. But as they were moving towards the sun, they kept changing their shape. Like they're stretching out and just yawning. And it's beautiful to just take a moment and appreciate little things that are just all around us all the time. We can have a moment of awe anytime. And they talk a little bit about goosebumps. So I know when our friend Susan Julie Gonzalez was here doing laughter yoga, she was speaking into certain things and she would say, oh, I've got God bumps. Because the goosebumps to her were a message from God, an affirmation. And I like this explanation because it explains that God bump thing. You can have goosebumps when you're kind of like alarmed as well, but experiencing awe or being moved may evoke feelings of vulnerability. So when you speak into something and you're opening yourself up by speaking truth, you are being vulnerable because somebody could potentially reject your truth, right? They might go, oh, nah. So that God bump moment happens when you're making a connection because of your vulnerability. You can't connect with others if you're not willing to be open and vulnerable. And we're taught to defend ourselves and not be vulnerable, especially if you grow up the youngest of 7 children like I did, right? Vulnerability was not a good thing because somebody's going to pick on you or take something or do something that makes you uncomfortable, and lots of cousins also. But vulnerability is the way we connect. We open ourselves up. Now these are also photos I took, but look what I've seen here. You see what I found in nature? More like the pink clouds, more hearts. The cactus leaf shaped like a heart, the little image on the other leaf shaped like a heart. But you've got to be willing to see it, right? The messages of love are all around us all the time. All we have to do is slow down. We just have to be willing to take a deep breath and go, oh, thank you for that message of love. And to me, that's what they are. When I find hearts, I'm so excited because it's like, yep, more love, affirming that I am love, and there's the presence of love everywhere. They go on to say, since humans often experience goosebumps when we are ourselves feeling expanded beyond the boundaries of our skin and feel connected to other group members. Expanded beyond our skin, that's in a scientific research paper. Expanded beyond our skin and connected to others and other group members. That's why we come here together. And those of you are in our virtual world, we understand why you stay away. There's, certainly still COVID going around. It's easier to stay home in your pajamas. It's more comfortable just to hang at home. But being in this room, we feel our connectedness. I hope that the people virtually, whether you watch live or you watch later, also have leaned into the moment and felt the connectedness, because you don't have to be in the room, but it is amplified by being in one another's presence. That is a quantum physics fact. By bringing our vibrations together and joining in the same rhythm, we amplify that positive rhythm. Or negative, if that's where you are. What do you see here? Another heart. Just a rock laying by the river. But it was calling out to me. And I was like, yes. This is also a picture I took from
The
the
eyes are beautiful.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
living life.
Yeah, that's out of the front of my house one night when it was a full moon, and it was just like so mystical. It's like such a gorgeous moment to just drink in and be in awe. So I want to share with you, I've shared with you Shalane Harkin's poetry before, and we're going a little bit long, but I'll make it as quick as possible. This one is called God, with an awe in the middle.
I like that.
God. I don't like the word God. G-O-D, God. Two hard consonants shut like solid doors around the O. The O, the ah, the softly infinite. But creak open the hard walls around this name as far as your hinges have learned to give, and throw the G and the D to the twig, like twigs, into whatever you want to call the enormity of that blaze. That feeds the O, the awe, the circle, fed brighter by all things that once seemed to stand in light's way. God.
It's kind of easy over Southerners, isn't it?
Yeah, really easy for Southerners. God. God. You're right, Jeannie. So just in Luke 5:26, so let me just set the context. So Jesus is out doing miracles, right? He's been teaching on the banks of the lake, and he saw some empty boats because the people were coming close. So Jesus was very, I'm just going to say he was vibe sensitive, right? So people that began coming to him for teaching initially needed to come and hear what he had to say. And then it kind of got popular. So more and more people came that were just there for the party. You know how that goes. And so he was at this riverbank, and he's like, I need to get some distance. So he gets in a boat and goes out in the water, and he's in Simon's boat. But they'd already come back from fishing, had a terrible day. And he'd finished teaching, and he said, hey, Simon, just throw your net over the side. And he goes, oh, I've already washed the net. We didn't have a very good day. And Jesus is like, just do it. And so he did, and I had more than enough fish for all the boats that didn't catch anything that day. And then they were going on, and there was a leper, and the leper said, I know you could heal me. And Jesus said, I will. Be healed. He healed the leper. And then there was a guy, you've heard the whole, take up the mat and walk. He healed the paralytic. So at this point, the disciples were going, they were in awe, right? Miracles, as they called them. But we know this is the intersection of preparation and consciousness, right? Miracles, you can have a discussion about that all day long, but I don't believe in miracles. I believe in consciousness. So at this point, they said, and amazement seized them all, and they glorified God, and they were filled with awe, saying, what we have seen extraordinary things today. They are extraordinary things and they're ordinary things. If you make them ordinary things in your life. Awe doesn't have to be an occasional thing. You can slow down, take a deep breath, open your eyes, and have awe anytime you want to. This is another image of flowers in my house. I turned it one way, and it looks this way, and I turned it that way. I was in awe both ways, right? I like to buy, when it's tulip season in the spring, I buy myself lots of tulips because they're inexpensive, and they're just so amazing to watch how they just live with the sunshine and the room, and they're responding to the vibe that you give them. They're responding to your awe. So, to your weekly practice, because I like to give homework, you know. So, weekly practice this week, find some time to be silent, to get still. Hopefully you have that practice already. If you don't, try it out this week. See how it feels to just you don't have to try to do anything, but just be still. And then be willing to be in awe. Be willing to find those little moments. Be willing and open, and then stop in that moment. When you have something you feel a response to, stop. Give into it. Pull your car over. Take a breath, drink it in, and just allow yourself to have the experience of awe. It raises your vibration. It lowers your cortisol. It gives you good juju to go out into the day. Oh, let me back up. I don't know how to back up. Can I back up? Yeah, there we go. So I put my email address on here because if you're going to try this and you have an experience, send me an email at revbevlr, that's revbevlittlerock, @gmail. Because I'd love to know about your experiences of awe. It makes me happy whenever somebody actually does put into practice what we come and discuss every week. I mean, that's the whole reason that we're here. So we're going to listen to, because we're looking for good stuff, we're going to listen to this song by Daniel Nahman, I think. Yeah. It's a little more upbeat than what we've been listening to earlier.
Gonna rise up early in the morning, gonna smile at a brand new day, gonna find that good stuff on the way, gonna have that feel-good feeling, never mind if it's here to stay, gonna find that good stuff on the way. Oh yeah, 'cause the sun is shining on me, yes it is, and there's nowhere I'd rather be. I have more than enough, oh, I'm swimming in the good stuff. Oh, I'm swimming in the good stuff. La 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 la. Gonna live a little bit different, gonna finish what I've begun, keep those worries on the run, gonna see what's waiting for me, gonna find a new kind of fun, gonna do what nobody thinks can be done. Oh yeah, 'cause the sun is shining on me, yes it is, and there's nowhere I'd rather be. I have more than enough, oh, I'm swimming in the good stuff. La, 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 good stuff, good stuff. I
our opportunity to give, and we know that giving and receiving is the same energy. So whatever it is that you have to give today, we appreciate it, whether you're giving online or you're giving here in the room. We just want to hold in our hands and in our heart, and together let's say our offertory prayer. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I send it forth with my blessings and my love. Thank you so much for being here and for giving generously. So just some quick reminders of the online groups we have going on. Nonviolent Communications meets on Tuesdays at 6. Mindfulness Meditation meets second and fourth Tuesdays at 4:30. A Course of Love is on break right now, but I believe you're talking about restarting in September.
Right, well,
So,
and I wanted to say, Jeannie Bailey is here. We connect through the mindfulness meditation.
yeah.
And really, that's what you've been talking about today, when you find awe when you're mindful, for sure. And we really enjoy that break in the afternoon, don't we?
Very much so.
So,
So Jeannie's visiting from Atlanta.
yes.
Yes, I
Yeah.
lived here for a
You
while,
lived
then
here?
went to Atlanta.
Yeah, so she still participates, and you have that experience together,
Yes.
creating that in mindfulness meditation.
And speaking of groups, Jeannie had WOW. Now, at first.
Go over here so you can be in the camera and
Okay.
people can see you and hear you. There you go.
Well, at first, Jeannie had WOW, which was Women of Wisdom, and then we realized that Dave Allgaier, others wanted to participate.
Yeah.
So then we called it Warriors of Wisdom, and I have been thinking always of resurrecting that group, because you did amazing things, like you did the pour paint. You knew what that was about, didn't you? So at any rate, and I just see maybe some things coming on in the fall that we know we're going to do Healing Wednesdays for sure.
Wellness Wednesday.
Wellness
Wednesday
Wednesdays.
wellness.
Yeah, Wednesday wellness. Sorry.
Whatever.
However. But then there's just many other possibilities. I was watching CBS this Sunday morning, and libraries, you guys, have become just community centers where people just come and hang out. And I thought, what could we do at Unity? We could at least have a day to just come and hang out and have resources here and allow for any group that would want to meet. I will facilitate, whatever comes up. I'm very interested in that. I don't want to always start them, and I may not be able to come to every meeting. I've tried that in the past, though. As a
We just
church
want to be
lady.
open to whatever.
But I
unfolds.
really want to have, yes, an openness, and I'll allow you to.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
idea.
thank you, Jeannie, for that. And also our book group that meets every other Sunday that Travis facilitates is studying the School of Elemental Beings. Speakers next week will be Jeannie on the 31st, and then after that, Reverend Russ Jackman will be speaking on the 7th. And so, yeah, she mentioned Wellness Wednesday. So here, I have a little brochure, but we didn't get it printed today, but maybe next week we'll have it to give out to you, or maybe even do a mailing. But wellness is our natural state of being. And so each Wednesday, we're going to explore different ways. And so the first Wednesday of each month, it'll be sound journey meditation. And then the second, we'll do wellness practices like tapping and breath work, and explore all kinds of ways to move energy and keep us alive, and keep that prana, that chi, high and vibrant in all our lives. We'll have a healing circle, and when you get the brochure, you'll see a little bit about that. It's and that may evolve. We might start with a certain technique, and we might explore even in the healing circle. The whole point is just to come together and support one another. And so the fourth Wednesday would be kind of a discussion group. I like research. I like validation, science validating what spiritual people already know. And with quantum physics, and so much now is just really validating what used to be called woo-woo. So I will explore that. We might even choose a book or something. It's a time to get together, maybe even watch a video and then discuss the video, but it'll be discussion based, a little more head. Everything else is kind of heart centered, but we'll try to keep this one maybe balanced head and heart. And then fifth Wednesday, which there's only a couple of for the rest of the year, August and November, we'll just decide what we want to do. Maybe we want to take a field trip, or we want to repeat one of the other things, but that'll be up to the group to kind of, I mean, of course, I'll have a suggestion. If nobody wants to suggest anything, I'll decide. So it won't just be flat if you don't feel pressure, but we want it to be a collective experience. And we won't be going online with this, and we won't be we might with the discussions, I don't know, it just depends. But Healing Circle, all those things, you really have to be in the space. So I apologize to those of you who are enjoying the virtual experience, but if we can evolve to finding a way to make it hybrid, we'll look at that. But initially, while we're getting started, it'll be an in-person experience only. And then we have volunteer opportunities for ushers, greeters, support in mailing things out, potluck coordinator. We don't have a potluck on the books right now, do we, Jeannie?
Look, for August, that we'll announce one.
Okay, we'll let you know in August. And then, like today, Linda did a beautiful job reading Daily Word. Thank you, Linda. And so anybody else who wants to read Daily Word for us, we'd love to have you do that. So I think, Tim, are we going to go in the other room?
No, we're
No?
gonna-
We're not going to do that.
No, we're
Okay.
gonna just-
So, all
just
right,
saying.
all right. I didn't know. I had a possible something and not. And so we're just going to end with the prayer for protection, and we'll just kind of let this be the musical version. And it's a little bit slow, but gives us something to close with.
Surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever I am, God is.
Thank you all for being with us today.